people can't answer the question, Jaymie. Who are you? What is it that you're going after? If someone needed to take a step towards, man, how am I going to answer that question? Like, who am I?
The gift of clarity. And it has to do with knowing your what. What is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you're trying to get rid of? What is it that you're trying to move away from? What is it that you're trying to stop? Your reason behind why you're doing it. You know, your passion behind your why. So your what, your why. Then the next thing is your how. What vehicle will I be using to get me there? Who are the people that you're competing against? Who are the people that you're pleasing? Your how takes you to your what, and it delivers your why. Whenever you're faced with anything, ask yourself those questions: what, why, how, who? And if you answer those questions to the length of those words, I guarantee you that the tough decisions will be easier.
What's happening, everybody? Shona Bell, what is going on today?
What's up? It's another great day to have a podcast, to record a podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. We are here with the Beyond Freedom podcast. Shona Bell, Jay Moore here as the Beyond Freedom financial team. And today we have another amazing guest that we're going to bring on. And he has an amazing story. I'm going to let him tell it, but I'm going to share with you how I know our guest. The guest today, his name's Jaymie Pottinger. He and his wife have a company, a consulting company called Pottinger Associates. Now, here's the thing. I met Jaymie at my church. Jaymie came to my church some years ago. And I'm just, my church that I went to was pretty small, and maybe, about 100 people or whatever. I'm there and I'm kicking it, and Jaymie comes and he speaks. Now, I was really just kind of like, I was like, yo, who is this guy? Like, I had seen Jaymie before, but I did not know he had this in him. Like the way he spoke, totally something just jumped on me. I says, I got to work with him. Like literally, this was like 2018. I said, man, this guy's amazing. How am I going to get connected? How am I going to get connected to him? That was 2018. And a couple years went by, 2020 hit, and all of a sudden I started seeing him on Facebook, Instagram, and then we started kicking it. And then I think it was in 2020, we just like, I don't know, we started talking more. We started talking on the phone. And then Jaymie was like, yo, I'm gonna write a book. And then I think it was 2021, we met every Sunday for about a year so he can write his book. Literally holding him accountable. He writes this amazing book. It's called The Face of Leadership. You got to get the book. It's on Amazon. It's an amazing book on how to lead. And he's going to share probably more about that. But that just kind of brought us into a real friendship, man. A friendship that it's not only about business, it's about our faith, it's about what we believe about our family. And Jaymie has taught me a lot, just like I probably taught him stuff. He's taught me really how to be powerful, how to show up. And when you hear Jaymie today, you're going to know, like, he's a powerful guy.
Wow.
And I'm going to go ahead and bring Jaymie in because Jaymie's an amazing guy. Let's go ahead and bring Jaymie in so you guys can meet him. Let's see. Jaymie Pottinger, what's happening, bro?
Hey,
How is it going? How are you guys doing?
amazing. Excited
Man, we're
after that
amazing.
intro. I can't wait
Yeah,
to meet
yeah.
Jaymie for real.
And
He
Jaymie
didn't hear.
didn't hear the intro.
Nope.
But I just kind of shared with the people like the moment when you came to my church and you spoke, and how I was like, man, I got to work with this guy because it was so powerful. And so that's what I just told that story about you, man. And so folks are probably like, man, who is this guy? This Jaymie Pottinger. So Jaymie, like, listeners have heard what I had to say. Now tell the people a little bit about you and kind of like your background and what you're doing these days.
Well, what I would say, my name is Jaymie, and it's spelled with a Y, so it's Jaymie. And I'm a lover of people in terms of adding value and creating influence and helping people to recognize that you're more than what you were told you are. and to be exposed to the fact that your gifts and your strengths, you are given them not by accident, but for you to expand on them. So my goal is to help leaders and teams and organizations to align in a synergical way with their teams and their groups and their goals so that they can get the best out of not only their teams, but themselves. Because for me, leadership is leading up, leading down, leading across, and most importantly, being able to lead yourself. Because, talk is cheap. You could say just about anything, but the problem comes when it's time for you to act on your words in terms of what you think you're doing. So, I value that experience. So as you make mention, I've been working with teams and leadership, whether through keynote speaking, leadership training, and team development for maybe the last 15 years in that place officially. Before that, I did more motivational speaking and engagement and coaching and stuff like that. So at Pottinger and Associates, we provide a tailor-made approach to organizational development for teams and their leaders, and workshops and presentation. We're with the Wiley, the DISC, and also predictive index, and also face of leadership in terms of working with different groups. So there's a plethora of things, but I'll say at the heart of it is giving individuals and teams a gift of awareness that will empower them to make decisions that will transform their level of results and giving them a greater sense of fulfillment. So that's it in a nutshell.
Wow. That's
That's good.
awesome.
That's good. Now, Jamie's being he's being Jaymie. So I'm gonna ask like a follow-up question to that. So you've shared all of that. Jaymie helps lead it, helps people, organizations leading and teaching people really some good stuff. Now, Jaymie wasn't always doing that. Like, how did Jaymie get his start? Like, where did that start, and and just tell a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how that has shaped you to get to the place that you are now.
So, that's a nice question. That's a deep question. I think what's most interesting about it that sometimes others know who you are and where you're heading before you recognize where you are. I grew up in a large family, a family of seven siblings. Seven siblings. My father started out in music and then went into farming. My mother, pre-trained school teacher. Growing up as a third kid, 5 years between me and the kid who I followed meant that I'm almost like the older kid for the next bunch of five that I had to deal with. So that's a whole different scenario there. So growing up in a farming community, then went on to high school and college, I had my challenges when it comes down to a number of things. But that shaped me there, learning to be an agile person and being able to navigate eight siblings. So I think I learned most of my leadership traits just being able to survive to ensure that the drumstick in my plate on Sunday dinner remain in the position. So being able to articulate and to navigate in a persuasive way, and being one of the smallest siblings means that you had to use your mouth when you had no muscles to back up your verbiage. So for that, those things helped to drive me, and having a family whereby my mother was always a believer. So, exposing us to church and that experience. So you honed your leadership skill in those places where you're given opportunity to speak, to participate, to share. Evening worship where you had to either pray or say something, but you always had something to say. My mother never allowed you to get off the hook. There's no such thing that I'm not thinking anything, I'm not saying anything. There's always something to be said. So that's a part of my development. Then going to a British high school, whereby, as you asked where I'm from, I was born in Jamaica. So, my thick Jamaican accent in that space, was frowned upon. So I'm frowned upon as somebody who has a lisp, who has an accent. So the question is, how do you navigate through that? And I remember because high school starts in the seventh grade. So my first week in school, I remember going back home, and I shared my father that I'm not going back to that place. I'm done with it. I'm not going back. That place, send me to the school down the street that my friends are going at. And my father said to me that, Jaymie, there's certain things that we enjoy doing, but there's certain things that are made for you. And if it's made for you, it means that you may not enjoy it, but we'll all celebrate it together. And those, at that point, I'm just thinking that this dude is just trying to use some psychological stuff to keep me grounded. And, there was no sense of appreciation. I just felt as if he was limiting me. But I must say this, I went back to school with a renewed mindset. And, my first semester, I think my report card were like C's, D's, E's, and everything that followed after C. I think I had a good grade, maybe in religious education or something else. Came back home. My father came to get my report card, and I don't know if you've ever had that feeling where you feel like crying, you feel the lump to the back of your throat and you want to cry. It's almost like you're in between crying and not crying, but it's nothing good. It's a feeling that leaves you with a lot of pain in the throat when you're done. Anyhow, I remember getting my report card and I'm anticipating that my father was priming me for a fine butt whipping. And he took me to a restaurant. He ordered a meal, and when he ordered the meal, he looked at me and I'm like, my appetite is all gone. He took the report card and he folded it in many pieces. He tucked it either in his breast pocket or his back pocket, something. And he said to me, Jaymie, that's his affectionate way of referring to me. Jaymie, this is not you. Eat some good food, son. And we sat there, still couldn't eat. I went home, and I think that was my first exposure to what I think Jesus wants for us. And right there, I went home with a renewed mindset and felt like it was not my responsibility to showcase exactly the belief that he had in me, the fact that he did not do what I saw other parents did with their kids when they experienced such failure. So the following semester, I moved from that low level to the third place student in that entire class in terms of academics. And the journey continued from that point onwards in terms of moving. So just a fast track because there are a lot of other stories in between, but just for here, went on to college, did an undergrad in information science, computer programming, that side. Just like that, I moved to the state, lived in West Virginia, went to Fairmont State University, finished up there, where I continued a master's in multi-categorical education and continued the journey. But leadership is always on my path. Worked in one of the historic boarding academies, Pine Forge Academy, while I was still doing my leadership journey, because adding value to people is always something that I feel that I celebrate my growth as a result of value added to me. So that's it in a nutshell. And then the journey continued with me being in the John Maxwell team, a speaker, coach, and trainer. And then for Pottingers and Associate Consulting, where my wife and I own our leadership consulting business, where we work with teams and leaders to move forward. So it has not been a valley ride. It has been on the rough side of the mountain, but I must say that I can show off my biceps as a result of that.
Awesome. Wow, what a story. I'm bubbling with questions, so I'm just shooting one off right here. So we talk about a lot about our purpose, the actions and stories that transpire to make us who we are and to get us to where we are today. So I wanted to ask you, Jaymie, at what were the things that helped you shape your purpose? Like, how did you know? When did you come to, because you're living out your purpose, it sounds like you have all of this that happened to form the person you are today, and then to form an amazing leadership consultancy and just the person you are today. I wanted to ask, what helped you form like your purpose? How did you figure out, and it's always evolving, I'm imagine, figure out like what your purpose was, what you were put here, what God said that you were put here to do, and how you're to affect the people in the world.
I think my purpose is to add value to people and giving people hope. And if you ask me when I think that sh was shaped, I can't tell the exact moment, but I could give you instances. I think growing up in a family with 8 siblings and seeing the need to help each other and move forward, and watching my father and my mother, even with the little that they had, they're always taking somebody in. I've never ever There's never been a time in my life when my mother or father did not have somebody living with us, a kid that they took from nowhere and brought in. There's never ever a time. There's never ever a weekend lunch where my mother or daddy didn't bring 4 or 5 other persons in to rob us of an extra slice of bread that we have. There's never ever a time. There's never ever a time, a Sunday morning, when there's not somebody at our house who is in need of something and my father and mother is helping. So there's never ever I've never heard my father in a conversation where he's not adding value or counseling somebody or doing something or sharing something. So I think even without me knowing or recognizing that at an early age, I developed that mindset whereby adding value and helping people is my purpose, in terms of allowing people to feel good. When I played soccer, I recognized now that, hey, I liked when people laugh. I liked when they saw a good move. When I was on the microphone, when I sang, when I did underground music, I recognized that my drive was people getting inspired by the music. And when everybody shared challenges, I'm always looking for a way to shed hope or shed light. So I think my upbringing and then the challenges that I've faced in life and those who have blessed me when I did not deserve to be blessed further centered me in that place. And that's when I recognized that, one of my saying in the book, Face of Leadership, is that sometimes there was a point in my life where I mixed up my purpose with my plan, and my plans became my purpose. And then I was searching. And I remember I was in New York one Christmas, my wife and I, and my two kids at that point, I think, or Jaymie, I'm not sure if Jaymie was in the picture yet. And about 1 a.m. in the morning, I think I shared the story with Jay before, I got up and look, I said to my wife, I'm waking her up, and she's like, go back to bed. I'm like, I'm restless. And she's like, well, you rest, you have a good job and everything is together. We have a house, da, da, da. And I said, I don't feel as if I'm fulfilling my purpose. What I'm doing, I don't even feel like I'm cracking the surface. And she said, Jane, what are you talking about? I said, I was made for more than this. And I said, baby, I could share this with you because you will recognize that I'm not being arrogant. I'm like, this is not me. She said, what more can you be doing, Jamie? You're already working almost 80 hours a week. I said, baby, it's not it. I'm not hitting the spot. And that's when I recognize that sometimes you have to ditch your plan and embrace your purpose. Because if you allow your plan to be in the space of your purpose, you forget that your plan is just a guide to your purpose. And if your plan change or the journey change, your purpose is still the same. So we all have to strike for that diamond, regardless of where we are. And if we allow the candy stripes to have us hooked on a given position, when the stripe is gone, there's no flavor left in the candy. So when I had that conversation with my wife, and she said, you're right. And then I started scripting out some things that gives me that fulfilling feeling. And it didn't sound similar to the guys who had a similar degree that I have, an IT degree. Why would you want to go into people development, working with teams and companies and organizations? That sounds kind of soft. But I knew right there and then that that was my calling, to add value to people, even if I'm cutting the grass. It's about adding a special spark in somebody else's life, or giving somebody else hope to do more than what they're currently doing, or to shift from what they're doing and find the sweet spot that will give them the fulfillment that they're longing for.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow, two ways.
Wow. Man, that was something else, man. Ditch your plan. You had
Right.
to ditch
Ditch
your
the
plan.
plan to find a purpose.
Wow. A lot of people won't admit. A lot of people won't admit this. Like, so Jaymie, I think this is really important, because a lot of people who, they may be working a job, they may be in a particular business. And I hear people all the time, hey, I got a plan for retirement. And they're talking about the end. And I'm like, well, what is retirement? I'm asking them, like, why do you need to retire? Well, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So what happens is people have this plan, like, I got a degree, so I follow the plan, but they're not following the purpose. So then they have to get to that point where they get too old, and then they would say things like, oh, it's probably not going to happen for me. So there are people that's going to hear this, they're going to say, Jaymie, so how were you able to ditch that plan to then go towards your purpose? Like, share with the people, like, I don't know how you can say it, but share with them, as you're listening to this question, like, how someone could just basically shift themselves from that one direction of the plan, the degree, what everyone else is doing, to really what you should be doing, which is discovering your purpose.
The thing about it, is that, Shona and Jay, is that many of us fail to recognize that we are our franchise player. We are the face of our. So if you view yourself, if you view yourself as a franchise, then you have to recognize that you are the franchise player. But what happened is that many of us, we discount our value while expecting others to increase our price tag.
Wait, say that again.
We
You gotta
discount
say that again.
we discount our value while expecting others to increase our price tag. So if I say that I'm worth $5, why should you give me 15?
Wow.
So when you ask yourself those questions, those are some hard questions that we fail to ask ourselves. And the worst part about it is that we end up imposing on others what we should become by expecting them to become that which we were created to be and do. And that impacts the entire negativity in terms of how we move forward. So ditching your plan now, I talk about the rocking chair mindset, and the rocking chair mindset is whereby you're rocking backwards and you're rocking forward, but you're not going anywhere. It allows you to get a whiff of what you could become, and it gives you a taste of who you were. So because that serves as our inoculating drug, it allows us to accept or feel as if we are embracing our purpose, when really what we're doing, we're living in wonderland in our rocking chair. So when you move from that rocking chair mindset and you accept the fact that you were moving around in the roller coaster, but you ended up back at the same place that you started at the end of the roller coaster ride, no matter how fantastic it is. If at the end of the roller coaster ride, you're back right where you started at the entry point. So when you look at your life and you ask yourself the question, where am I? What kind of ancestor will I be of my life 5 years from now? And you recognize that I'm going to be an ancestor that is in the same place that I've been in the last 25 years, and my sweet spots have not been tended to. Then you recognize that you have not really planted your seeds, but what you have done, you have kept your seeds in your pocket. What do I mean by keeping your seeds in your pocket? Your seed needs certain elements in order for them to grow. In order for them to grow, it means that you have to face hardship, you have to face winds, you have to face hurricanes, you have to face winter. Now, when you face those things, they are hard, but the hardness of what you face, crack that bad boy open and allow, if it's an egg, for it to become an omelet, if it's a seed, to become a tree. And many of us, we stay in that safe place and we carry ourselves around in our pockets and in our mind, and we don't expose ourselves to the soil that will allow us to become what we were created to be. So the question now, back to the question that Jay asked, is that how do we do that? We do that first by gifting ourselves the gift of awareness. What is a gift of awareness? I always say to people that you have yourself at least 5 or 6 good friends who are honest with you. Jay has been that in my life. Or we could do another podcast, talk about how our connection and me gifting myself with his honesty and loyalty allowed me to birth something that's one of the greatest accomplishments that I've had in my life. So when you have those 5 or 6 persons in your life, you ask some pivotal, honest questions. Like, what are some of my strengths? What are some of my weaknesses? What are some missed opportunities that I've had? What are some clumsy sides to me? What are my blind spots? What do you think I should be doing? Do you feel as if I'm fully fulfilled? And when you're honest, folks, answer those questions, it puts you in a better position to see yourself like somebody playing a game of chess, but they're playing it over your shoulder. Because when you're in the game, sometimes you can't feel the game. You're just in the game. The only few players who can do that, who are in the game, but they're feeling it. It calls for a rare breed to be able to operate in 2 dimensions when it comes down to life like that. Now, after do that, I recommend to most people that in a day and age like this, do a behavioral assessment. Whether you do a predictive index or you're going to do one of those stuff, but you do a behavioral assessment. And once you do that, it allows you to see your strengths, your weaknesses, your gaps, and your opportunities, whether it's a DISC assessment, a predictive index, you name it. When you recognize those things, you get a readback with a professional that will allow you to see where you are. If you have a wife or a husband, sometimes I say, put your favorite song on, lock yourself out from everybody, put the kids with their grandparents, and take your notepad out and write down all the opportunities that you've missed, all the dreams and goals that you have in your life that you haven't accomplished. And then you make another list. What are some of the things that have prevented you from doing these things? If you shake the devil, speak the truth, and answer those questions correctly, I guarantee you that you'll have a sleepless night afterwards, because you're now confronted not only with yourself, but the results of yourself. I hope somebody hear this. You're not just living with yourself, but the results of yourself. And after you view the results of yourself, you're also going to view the other elements that you have allowed to take captain role in your life that have led you to the results. And then you're going to find yourself doing some automatic things. And the automatic things are, you're going to be dropping some places, some people, some things, and some habits. Once you drop those things, because you're no longer who you were before, whether you decide to take your purpose up or not, your former way of life would have left you behind, and you're left with no other option but moving from the rocking chair and taking on an uncharted territory. And once you do that and you exercise the gift of foresight where that is concerned, then now you'll be able to navigate your way forward, because you're doing something not because you want to do it, but you're doing something because you were created to do it. I hope somebody got that piece.
I got it.
Something not because you
Good.
want to do it, but you're doing something because you were created to do it.
Wow.
That's good. That's good. I love it. Shona, you got a question?
I do. I do. Okay. So we have our backstory. We understand how people that need to be wrestling have restless nights because they need to be thinking about, where is my life going? Am I in the rocking chair, or am I living life to the fullest? So so here we talk about beyond freedom. Um, with your background and the way you serve your clients and your community, what aspects could you say that you teach people to kind of look at their lives differently, you know, to look at their lives and make them actually go through this process of, am I just existing or am I living? Do you do that just in your consultancy? Do you do it in your community? Do you do it in your family? Like, how do you basically encapsulate all of this into who Jaymie is and like how you walk the earth? Why are you
Yeah,
laughing?
I don't know. You guys must have researched these questions, because these questions,
No, no,
questions.
I'm not. I don't even have the question list out at all.
No, I'm just saying it's a compliment how good the question is. This is what I share with people, is that if you're not growing, you're shrinking. If you're shrinking, you're not moving. If you're not moving, you're stagnant. If you're stagnant, you're gathering rust. If you're gathering rust and not moving, you'll never ever make it to the ocean. If you never ever make it to the ocean, it means that you're fixed. And if you're fixed, it means that you're expired. If you're expired, it means that you need to be eulogized.
Oh, eulogize. That's like you're
They're
done.
dead. Yeah,
Like
they're
you're
dead.
done.
So when you
Wow.
ask, yourself that question, you recognize that your freedom lies in your ability or willingness to set yourself free. Let me put it this way. My parents gave me a name. My parents gave me their DNA. My parents gave me a way of doing things. They gave me a way of doing things to the point of my maturity. At maturity, the gift that they have given me is to use what they have given me to free myself from what they have given me. But what happens is that most times we're trapped in what we have inherited, and we block ourselves from expanding on what we have. So when it comes down to freedom, financial freedom, whatever you're thinking about from that perspective, is that you have to be willing to take that step. Nobody can take that step for you. As Snoop Dogg said, when he was getting his star, he said, I gotta thank me. And I'm not citing him because of any reason, but the fact that he's saying that, yes, we're going to thank the maker, but at some point you have to make that decision to liberate yourself from what you have inherited, or to expand what you have inherited. Because to not expand on what you have, not to chart into new territories, means that in a matter of time you'll be out of what you have. And what I share with what I share with people in when I'm doing leadership coaching, or speaking, my question is I always ask this question: do you know yourself? What are three things you know about yourself? What are three things that you have been trying to achieve that you have not yet achieved? You'll be surprised that most people don't, they'll be stuttering over those last three questions. And they'll tell you three things that they have been achieving for others. I'm trying to make my husband happy. I've been trying to work to buy this for my kids. And I stop and say, I'm talking about you, Shona. What is it? What are the three things that you're looking to achieve? And most times they'll say to me, Jaymie, can we get back to that? Can I follow up on that? A friend of mine gave me this. This is not my original. He said, a man without a vision needs supervision. And my twist to it is that not because you're on the right highway doesn't mean that you're heading in the right direction. And not because the team is doing great mean that you'll be making your way off the bench. So when you think about those things, is that most times we fail to confront ourselves And when we fail to confront ourselves, what end up happening is that we do a disservice to ourselves. Instead of growing, we find ourselves shrinking because it's a comfort zone. It's a rocking chair mindset.
That's good. I've never heard about the rocking chair mindset. Like that's gold right there.
That's a Jamieism.
Oh, wow. All right. Well,
It's
I'm
a
gonna cite Jaymie.
Jamieism.
I'm using that.
That's a Jamieism right there, buddy. As you have heard him speak, he's look, if we could count, if somebody had a bomb counter, it would just go boom, boom. It would just been blowing off the whole time because of the amount of bombs that you've been dropping. Good bombs, man, because these bombs are really, I mean, one of the last ones that you got from your friend, you says a man without a vision needs supervision. And the fact that you also talked about how people can't answer those questions about themselves, right? And they always want to answer the questions about, well, I want to make this person, I want to give this to this person. And one of the things that, God gifted me with was the ability to say, hey, you got to do it, right? It's you, it's not me. A lot of times we think God's going to show up and God, because a lot of folks of faith will wind up watching this. And I just like to speak to those folks. Because at the end of the day, we can, we pray without ceasing, right? I'm going to wait on the Lord. Like these are all talking points of Christianity. I call them talking points, like political. They're political things. No one wants to say, I want to get rich. No one wants to say, I'm going in for the money. Like, because, somebody commented on a short that I put out and, they put for the love of money is the root of all evil. I'm just like, yeah, well, it's the root of all kinds of evil for sure. But poverty is at the first, like literally at the top of the list. Folks in poverty would do all kinds of evil to get money. And so as individuals and business owners, I'm getting a little passionate here because people can't answer the question, Jaymie. Who are you? What is it that you're like what is it that you're going after? And most people, and this is something that you may be able to help, Jaymie, because you work with people, like what would be, and you have framework because I know, because I know this stuff is in your book. Like, so if someone needed to take a step towards, man, how am I going to answer that question? Like, who am I? And these three questions, like what could you tell them? What framework could you give them that would say, hey, if you do this, then you would be able to answer these questions.
So I'm going to give something short, something here, and there's several pieces. For example, in the book, The Face of Leadership, we touch a few pieces, but one of the greatest gifts that you can give to yourself is a gift of clarity. And the gift of clarity sets up a base. So my first thing I would say, gift yourself the gift of awareness, whether you're going to go through an assessment, you check wherever you could do an assessment, a scientific assessment in terms of the way you are. But I'm also going to share something, a quick nugget with you, the gift of clarity. And it has to do with knowing your what. What is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you're trying to get rid of? What is that you're trying to move away from? What is it that you're trying to start? That's your what. Then your why, your reason behind why you're doing it. Your passion behind your why. So your what, your why. Then the next thing is your how. What vehicle will I be using to get me there? What vehicle will I be using to get me to conquer this thing that I'm dealing with? And then the next one is your who. Who are the people that you're serving? Who are the people that you're competing against? Who are the people that you're pleasing? So when you answer those things, your what, your why, your how, and your who, you're in a good place. And remember, your how takes you to your what and deliver your why. Your how takes you to your what and it delivers your why. So when you have those, so I share to people all the time, Jay, is that whenever you're faced with anything, ask yourself those questions: what, why, how, who. And if you answer those questions to the length of those words, I guarantee you that the tough decisions will be easier. It's almost like, say, for example, it's freezing cold, right? Freezing cold. Jay's freezing cold. I'm in Pennsylvania. in the mountains, freezing cold. I hear something outside and I look, it's Jaymie. Somebody's about to get him. All I have on is my underwear. It's freezing cold. Do you think I'm going to stop to ask where my shirt is? I know that my why is to protect my family. I know what I'm getting, that's my son. And I know the vehicle at this point is my legs. So I'm going to use them legs. I'm going to jump and get my what, and my why will be satisfied because I've protected my son. When we break things down in that level, it forces us to confront ourselves and confront our fear. A mentor of mine said this to me once. He said to me, I was with a tough decision, and I said, I can't, man, it's too much. And he said, what's too much? He said, Jaymie, what if you're traveling? You know, he said a story, he said a guy was traveling to the back of a boat once. He had 3 kids. And the first kid, something happened. The kid fell off the boat and something happened. Kid's life was taken, right? And they came up against something else, and something similar was about to happen. And the same guy who was devastated and was holding his head and crying and said, I'm going to lose my life. I'm done. Guess what happened? He jumped overboard and fought for that one son, even though he was so messed up about the first son that he lost. What I'm sharing is that we have enough gumption in us to do things if we confront or a what, or a why, or a how, and or who. We recognize that God would not allow us to be so broken that we can't take up the pieces and still find the diamond that he has out there for us.
That's good.
That's real good. Okay, I have a question, Jaymie. So you know what Jay and I do about our business, and finances can be a very touchy topic. It could be very, it brings about stress, it brings about fear, it brings about all the anxiety and things like that. Can you share how the way you see the world and your leadership and what you teach could kind of help strengthen people's mindsets around the financial topic? Because ultimately there is no freedom without, of course, first your mindset has got to be straight. You know, you got to know why you're here, your purpose, and know everyone is not meant to be rich. That is not everyone's purpose. Some people are meant to work in ministry and be monks and all types of things and be saints. But finances, with more, you can do more. With more, you could, you know, decrease stress and just be more available to your family and your purpose. So what can you share around your leadership principles and things to help people kind of address some of the harsh topics, or the I don't know what they're called, the things around the negative stigmas around, you know, dealing with finances, or even striving to be rich for good reason and things like that?
What I'll share first is that if you're not a gifted in finances, you need to have someone like you or Jay at your fingertip. I mean, 24-hour fingertip. Everything that is touchy has the potential of leading you to a prosperous path. Repeat that. Everything that is touchy has the potential to lead you to a prosperous path. If you notice this, very seldomly do you hear that somebody stumbled upon a big diamond rock. You know why? You have to go through a lot to get it. And what happened is that society and our Christian culture has taught us that it's not something that we should delve in. But yet still, we are the ones who seek after others who have delved in so that they can support the different ministries. I'm going to say it again. If you should always have a professional of yours and Jay's caliber to be in their pocket. Bottom line, if you are a believer, a business owner, a husband or a wife, or somebody who is trying to just be okay, and you are not taking this side of your life seriously, you have just broken the life-given commandment to live as a normal, well-suited human being in terms of taking care of your responsibility. because there's no way around managing finances, no way around living a meaningful, successful life without being a good steward. And being a good steward means that you're going to ensure that every little penny or nickel that you have is managed effectively, invested in a wise way. And peradventure, you don't have the skill, you need to be finding the person with the skill so that they can cover for the lack of competence that you have. There is no two ways about it. So when I talk to leaders and I coach with my one-on-one, I always ask that question: what's your financial plan? What are you doing to secure the little that you have or to expand on that which you have? So you're telling me that if you have $10 and it could be managed to be worth $20 next year, that you have done a good job if you kept it as at a 5? That's you burying your talent. So, you know, some of us are pallbearers when it comes on to how we deal with our assets. So Mike, and people don't like to be associated with any synonyms that has to do with being funeralized or being eulogized, or
Good. I like it.
they don't like it. But the fact is, any side or aspect of your life that you are not nurturing, it means that you're burying it. I repeat that. If you're not nurturing something, it means that you're slowly killing or burying it.
Right.
And finance should never ever be an afterthought. Finance should be one of the first things you talk about before you have the meal, because if you don't have finance, you can't pay the bill for the meal.
Right.
So my word to everybody who's listening is that you need to find somebody. You need to find somebody like a Shona or a Jay to be at your fingertips at all times.
That's good.
I want to repeat one thing. I want to
I
repeat
say
one
that,
thing.
and I say that without apology.
Yeah.
I'm gonna repeat one thing that Jaymie said. I mean, you've been dropping them, but this one I think it goes to the finances. Everything that is touchy has the ability to lead you to a prosperous life. And in this world that we live in, so many, and I'm just going to stick with like a lot of people of faith, right? Believers. I think believers, it's kind of like if I was telling you how good something is, usually you're going to want to, man, hey, well, give it to me. I want the good too. So a lot of times with people of faith, we're always talking about how good God is, but we have nothing to back it up, right? We don't have any miracles. We've got no impossible things happening, and it's it gets you to the point where that's why a lot of people are like, well, okay, you go to church every week and you still the same. Like, so I don't need to come. So we've been trying to sell something that's really it's unbuyable, because when you come to the marketplace, like in the marketplace, proof is everything. Oh, you're talking about success? Show it to me. Let me see what that looks like. And so this touchy subject of finances and money, it just like it just needs to be addressed. Like that sounds like a psychological thing. Like how does, quickly, because we probably got a couple questions left. Quickly, like this is a psychological play now. Like something in our psyche has to change if we're going to start talking about these touchy subjects, money being one of them, and having like real conversations with our friends and family about it. Because a lot of times folks don't want to talk money around friends and family. So if you was coaching somebody, I know you just said a couple of things on finances. Um, if you was coaching somebody on developing the psychology that they would need to transform their finances, like what would be where would be a good place to start? I mean, outside of ours, get with people like us.
So I think the first piece that I start off with is I always ask this question. I always ask, how are you doing? I never ask, how are you feeling? Because I'm feeling good, I'm feeling bad, I'm saying, how are you doing? It means that you have to give me some for instances. How are you doing? And once you answer that question, if you say, I'm doing good, my family's doing well, I say, what does well look like? And when I ask those questions and I keep probing those questions, I always, 99% of the time, I'm always getting to this like, hey, I'm trying to squeeze $1 out of 25 cents. And you know that you can't squeeze $1 out of a quarter. You get me? It's the other way around. But that's the life that is being lived. And when I ask that question, I ask, and I ask the question, do you feel as if your financial position at this point is worth the skills and talent that you have? And that's where the conversation always goes through a long pause.
Mm-hmm.
And then what comes after that are always the conjunctions. But, however, he should have, I could have, this would have. And I hear those things and I'm like, you know what? You now have to take your financial freedom in your own hand. If it's a business owner, a CEO, or a team leader, a project manager, because everything that you do, every decision that you make has a financial implication to it. If you could tell me one decision that you can make in your leadership, in your business, with a project, with your family that does not have a financial implication, share that with me. Because if you're going to pray, God is going to open up windows and you have to invest. So when you ask those questions, Jay, people always push you to find, so Jaymie, what's the next plan? And I'm always like, if you don't know what to do, and I may say, I'm a novice in the intricate details, but what I do, I find persons who are smarter than I am. And I allow them to guide me along that process. And that's the very same reason why you have a lot of entrepreneurs who are not entrepreneurs, because they want to be managed and supervised instead of leading and dominating. So it's not a short of ideas, because if it's like when you're in New York hanging out, you're watching the guys playing basketball. The guys on the side always can tell you that he should have taken a hook shot, or that should be a chest pass, or you know what, that would be a better shot. And when you look at what they're saying, they're right. But guess what? They're not doing it for themselves. They have all the right suggestions. When it comes on to moving, the rocking chair is so comfortable they can't afford to leave the past and stop sniffing the future. And it impacts their financial positioning. So that's what I'll share with them, Jay. And most times when I do that, Jay, they'll come back in my next session and say stuff like, Jaymie, I've set a budget, I have a goal, I'm seeing a financial advisor, I'm doing this, I'm turning these things around. But finances, the research shows that most relationships have their most negative times when they have financial conversations.
Right.
It's that touchy. But then when they say when the finance is gone, the romance jumps through the back window. That's how deep that bad boy is. It's that big. In every sense of the word, it's that big. So for us to not take our financial freedom seriously, we're missing it.
That's so good. Wow.
That's good. Wow.
Yeah, I would have never thought that, you know, I think it's amazing to hear that you incorporate that into your leadership coaching. Like that is so, so important and impressive to hear you just kind of, you know, impart that to people, because we meet a lot of people that don't have that, you know, they get to us most times after everything has crashed and burned. So yeah, thank you for being out there in the world and imparting that knowledge, because then that means there's more people out there that will be doing the right thing.
Absolutely. Wow. We got one last question. And the last question, Jaymie, is okay, so this is beyond freedom. And man, this conversation, we're gonna have to bring you back, Jaymie, because I think that, you know, I think there's more directions I definitely want to take the conversation and get a little bit deeper. So we'll definitely bring you back, and you know, but we ask everybody, because we are beyond freedom, financial, what does beyond freedom, like if you were just thinking about that phrase, what does beyond freedom mean to you?
Wow. So I think you have a few words. You have okay, you have comfortable, you have surviving, you have thriving, and then you have beyond. I think beyond, it serves as the greatest sense of freedom, meaning that you are not only in a position where you're surviving, but you're in a position where you can move and not only help yourself, but help others. I think we were made not just to be ourselves, but to add value to others. And you can only add value when you'd have secured enough value to move forward. So beyond is the place that we should be striving to be. Because if you're not in that position, it means that if you lose what you have nothing else to be on. So beyond gives me, when I think about beyond, and if, for example, if I'm going on a vacation with my family and my wife said, Jaymie, the budget is $3,000. I said, no, baby, the budget is $4,000. And she said, okay, Jaymie, I'll rework the budget. No, $4,000. I said, no, baby, the budget is $4,500. And she keeps on saying, Jaymie, why you keep on moving the goalposts, baby? Because you're thinking in the immediate, I'm thinking in the beyond. Because what happens, baby, is that, and I'm going to give a real story here. Oh, I don't know if she's going to listen. She's going to put me on a couch or whatever. Well, that's all right. I claim forgiveness in the name of Jesus. But we went on a vacation once, and we're talking it through, and she said, Jaymie, and you know, Jay, Shona, her degree in the background in the heavy in finances and stuff like that. Mine is in computer and leadership and da. So that's me. I believe that if your strength, I'm not going to fight, but there's certain things called common sense, and it cannot be purchased, and it cannot be degreed. You get me? It's called common sense. And my wife is the smartest whip. She's one of the smartest ladies, man. And we went on a vacation. I said, baby. And anyhow, we went because we planned the vacation in the okay. We planned it in the comfortable. We planned it in those zones. When we got there, something happened. And I had to take up my phone and call my boss and say, hey, I need you to wire me this much cash in the next 10 minutes because I got to save this vacation. And Boop went, picked up the cash, and Shauna was like, baby, what's up? I said, baby, I said to her that even in my beyond, I have friends who are beyond. And that allowed us to enjoy the vacation with little or no hassle. But that was just a vacation. There are many of us who live in our lives and our leadership and our families, and we are living beneath the beyond. And the minute one of our balloons are deflated, we're left stranded on the side of the street. So when I look at what you guys offer, and so I'm like, this is what we need to hear, because too many of us are living a second away from being excommunicated or being relegated into antiquity.
That's so good.
Wow. Live in the beyond.
And go on beyond vacations. I like that. I need a beyond vacation.
Going on
So
beyond. It's no limits on the vacation, man.
yeah, we going. We're just gonna go. But yeah, so many people are living. You hear the term one paycheck to getting out your house, but entrepreneurs, I mean, they're living one month or one contract. You lose one big contract, and you're just like, you're done. So yeah, elevating the person.
Yeah, man. So, man, well, has been an amazing conversation, Jaymie, and we appreciate you spending just a few minutes of your day with us, man. Let everybody know who's watching this, like how they could find you, where you are. Talk about your book a little bit, just so that they be able to get access to those things.
As you know, Jay, I'm working on the workbook, so I have a copy of it on my desk. So this is The Face of Leadership. You could find that on Amazon, on all the different Kindle, you name the different place. The Face of Leadership is a framework that deals with failure, foresight, agility, awareness, clarity, confidence, energy, and execution. You can find me on Instagram or LinkedIn, Facebook, and it's Jaymie Pottinger. That's Jaymie, Pottinger, Pottinger. Podcast, the Sunday prep, where we say quitters bounce, but winners bounce back and follow through. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And success is where preparation meets opportunity. So we do that with Strategic Alignment Podcast. So you could catch me in those areas. Just drop a message, and you could find me at JaymiePottinger.com or Pottinger and Associates Consulting.com, whereby you can book an assignment, you could book a coaching session, you could book a free read back, you name it. And on YouTube, you could find me on YouTube. You want to see a few videos of some of my presentation and speaking engagements. But yeah, I'm out there. Just type that in JaymiePottinger. And yeah, you'll find me out there, and I'm always open to add value. And sometimes in the process of adding value, I find that more value is added to me. So it's a, when you get, you give, when you learn, you teach. And that's the motto.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, you
that's
can send
awesome.
us all those links. We'll make sure that we put them attach them to the posting for this.
Thank you.
Cool
Appreciate it.
beans, cool beans. All right, guys, man, you've heard it. Jaymie Pottinger, Pottinger Associates. You know where to find them. Make sure you get his book. Make sure you get his book on Amazon. It's an amazing book. And looking forward to the workbook and the coaching, because he's going to have a coaching program too, guys. So I'm looking forward to the coaching program that's coming right behind that book. So you guys are definitely going to want to sign up. And if you are, he didn't say this, but if you're an organization, like you have a team, even a large team, he works with large teams and companies. Like he didn't drop any names, Microsoft, those types of companies. So he works with the YMCA, like big organizations. And so
Amen.
he does that. He was on the stage for the YMCA in one of their big meetings in Florida, where 10,000 people were there. And he did one of the best breakout rooms at the event. Everybody, it was jam-packed. So make sure you hook up with Jaymie, find out how he can add value to your life or your business. So, Jaymie, we thank you. And guys, until next time, this is the Beyond Freedom Podcast with Jay Moore, the Healthy Accountant, and Shona Bell, the Freedom CPA. God bless you, and we will see you guys on the next one. Peace.